What's up, guys? Welcome to another video. This video is part of our home lab server build out. We're doing a whole cabinet, and you probably saw, if not, I'll put a little link up here, card for a video of our patch panel build out. And what I wanted to do is start with the basics. This is going to be a series, and so this is only like video 2 in the series. And what I wanted to show you guys is rack studs. Now, if you're an IT administrator and you work in a data center or you have a home lab, this is a pain point, and it's been a pain point for a long time. These babies, cage nuts, they're a bane to our jobs. Okay, how many times have you taken one of these little bad boys and busted a fingernail or a knuckle or something on here trying to get these impossible squeeze sharp edges into these rack U mounts, right? And not to mention, it's a terrible thing to try to get equipment installed in a rack because you got to play a balancing act, because these usually go in from behind and you have to like squeeze them into these little holes here. As you can see here, I've got this little, this is like a rack, right? This is what you mount these things into. Okay, these are called rack units. All right. So what you've got here, as you can see, this is the front. I wanted to kind of give you a better view, but this is the front. This is like a U. All right. So when people are looking at racks, you've probably heard the rack unit counts. If that equipment is 2 U's, that equipment is 1 U. That's rack units. And you have to see, you've got half racks, full racks, mid-size racks, you've got all sorts. You got quarter racks. You got to know how many U's your rack will hold. This one actually has like some counters, which is kind of nice. Some don't, some do. And you got to like physically go down and count these. So this is a nice little demonstration. So what I'm going to bring to you today is rack studs. So rack studs solve this problem, and they actually speed up time. It takes quite a while for an administrator to go through here and put these damn things in, and they're going to be bloody hands by the end of the day. If you give them a full-size rack and you give them a bunch of equipment to install in that rack and rack it up, cable it, by the end of the day they're going to have cuts all over. All right, and it's going to take them a while because these cage nuts, you've got to be careful with them, and also they're, like I said, they're not easy. And if you're not careful, you are going to cut yourself up pretty good. So, into the rack studs. Not only is this going to help you with the cage nuts, but it's going to help you down the line with racking your equipment. And I'll show you why in a minute, because cage nuts, again, a lot of this is from the back, and then you've got to balance your equipment to insert these screws to actually mount your equipment. Not the case with rack studs. They'll balance your equipment for you, and it's all from the front. Everything you do on the rack studs is from the front. That's what's amazing. Okay, there's 2 types. We'll get into the second one here in a minute. There's Series 2, and there's the new Duo versions. Okay, so they're going to basically simplify your installation and workflow. So they're tool-free. That's an amazing part. These, not tool-free. Got to have a screwdriver, got to be balancing your equipment, got to be screwing this in to the cage nut. Not cool. Rack studs. There you go. Now you can see they're color-coded, and we've got a mixture of goods here. And you're like, what? Those are plastic. Are they 3D printed? What are they? No. They'll hold, oh, what was it? I think about 44 pounds. Okay? So, if your equipment's heavier than 44 pounds, I probably wouldn't use a rack stud. I'd go back to the cage nuts. Right? Those are steel, so, you know, they're going to support more weight. But rack studs made from strong, durable thermoplastic, right? It's called Grivery, and it's rated to hold 20 kilograms or 44 pounds, okay? Also, it can withstand a lot of temperature. So don't worry, my equipment runs hot. Is this going to melt these? No, like 500 degrees would melt these, okay? So they're very heat resistant. They're also a benefit. They're non-conductive. So what does that mean? if you don't ground your rack, I mean, you're going to be putting a lot of electricity in that rack, right? These conduct electricity. So if you have some kind of issue with power, you've got a spike, you've got something, and you haven't grounded your equipment properly, these are just going to flow the electricity through it. These will not. They're plastic. Well, they're not plastic. They're basically, a thermoplastic. So they don't conduct electricity. That's a bonus, especially if you didn't ground your equipment right. All right. So now we've covered a lot of the cool things. The no more bleeding knuckles and fingers for me, that's like the best. Okay. Anyway, also, I mentioned they're tool free. They're easy to remove and reuse. That's what's going to cut your install times down. You're paying people to go in and do this. You don't want them to spend 8 hours. How about 4? How much money are you going to save if you only spend half, 50% install time for paying people to do this? That's a lot of labor saved. That's awesome. Very, very cool. Now, this is also, there's 2 different sizes, because there's not always a standard rack size, right, when it comes to the equipment. And the rails, you got to deal with some of those rails, and they're not, they're other people have proprietary, and then there's non-proprietary, and it's just there's almost like 2 sizes you have to deal with. They're a little extra wide, so we have these purples. Remember, these are color-coded, right? These are for getting in a little bit fatter, and these are standard. Okay, so there's basically 2 different sizes that you deal with the Series 2 rack stud. And you can order them singly, you can order them mixed, like this here is a combo pack. Okay, you can see rail thickness. You got red, you got purple. 3.2 millimeters to 2.2 millimeters. So this one will actually cover 2.7 millimeters to 3.22 or 3.2, and then this is anything less than 2.2. So you've got red, you've got purple. And again, they're boasting redesigned nut with screwdriver slot. Longer threads make hanging gear easier. Improved leverage strength up to 30%. Fits even thicker rails, now even easier to insert. Okay? They just keep refining this, which is nice. They keep making it great. And it's color coded. It won't scratch your equipment. How many times have you been installing expensive equipment and you're like in here and you're like gouge it with a screwdriver because you slipped when you're doing this and you're balancing the equipment? There's a lot of different things. These are not going to scratch your equipment. You don't need a screwdriver. So it's going to actually improve, hopefully, your overall quality of your install as well. And if you're not sure, they offer these in 4-packs. You can get like a trial pack. You can order it and you can get it and you can test them. You don't have to go all in on a big bag. You can just order a little 4-pack. So that's awesome. That's a great thing. And again, they're color-coded. What if you drop this in the data center on a black rack? You got black things like this. Good luck finding these. If you drop this on a rack, you're going to find it. It's going to stand out, especially these yellow pieces. So the color coding is great, and it's also a benefit because I don't know how many of these I've like dropped when I'm trying to do it with one hand, and I can't find the dang thing, and it's irritating. So that's the benefit. Now I'm going to demo these. All right, I've actually got a couple already in here, but what I wanted to do is basically show you the process. Now I mentioned dual. This is new. Look at this. Let's cut the 50% more. Now that 8-hour job that I was talking about, that's going to take you 4 with the Series 2. You can get it down to 2 hours with these. 50% less labor work. You're only doing 2 per rack unit. That's amazing. And I've got one installed right here. All right. So the new duos, again, 2 hours for an 8-hour job. If we're considering that, we're cutting the time way down. Alright, so here's what you'd have to do. Basically, you would take this, and you're going to install it with the lip, little squeeze piece here. We're going to do that down. But what we're going to do is, we're going to insert it kind of at an angle, and look at that. That is how easy to install that it is. Now, we can see on the front, we have another little lip. So what we're going to do is we're just going to fit this guy right in here, and he's going to snap right in place. Look at that. This fits like a glove. Okay? And then we come back and we screw on our posts. This is where you would balance your equipment. You're going to have one of these, two of these basically on each side. You're going to insert your equipment onto these. It's going to balance it, and you're just going to come in here and you're going to screw it on. Well, let's not do that one because I don't have one of the yellow clips. We're just going to screw this on, and our equipment is now mounted. How amazing is that? Here, again, we'll just put this on. Push it in. Boom. Boom. That is how quick, painless, and easy these are. They come out just as easy. That's amazing. Alright, now let's look at a Duo real quick. I've got the Duo. You can see. Alright. We just push this in. And we've got it mounted. Easy peasy. Actually, let me get this in here. I did it backwards on this one. And I'm doing this with one hand again. So basically, you just snap it in. Right? These actually install from behind. If I can get it in here with one hand, I'm holding the rail and trying to get this in. So basically, we just squeeze it and it goes right in. Maybe we... Boom. Well, I had it. As I bumped the camera. Alright, well you get the gist. Here it is. It's installed up here. As you can see, it just goes in like that. I don't think, maybe we can install them from the front. Let's see. I don't remember how I did the last one. Pull, push, squeeze. I'm so used to the originals. Again, these are new. So, does it say only requires 2 when you only nut? There's a little install guide. Okay, yeah, those come in from behind. So unlike the others, these install from the back side. So basically, yeah, you would push it on. And again, there we go. You just gotta squeeze them a little tougher than the other. Ah! I'm not doing the Duos any justice here. There we go, right? It sure beats a cage nut, though. I can just tell you. There we go. Okay. Sorry about that. Alright. And then we just screw these on. Again, the same types of lids. There we go. And these aren't color-coded because they're basically just 2 pieces. So, there we've got it installed. And we just mount it. Like so. No tools. I could mount these all day. It's easy peasy. Rack studs. Look at the Duo. Okay. Again, hole size, rail thickness. This one covers 2 to 3.2 millimeters. So this version fits rails with the following specifications. If you don't know, order a 4-pack, try it out. Right? Again, this is their new product. I'm not even familiar with this. This is the first I've used them, is on this rail test kit here. There you go. Balance your equipment. Don't do 4 per 1 rack unit. You do 2. Cut your work 50%. Amazing. Amazing. I want to thank Rack Studs for supplying these for the show to review. They have not reviewed this content. This is my unbiased opinion. And once you've used Rack Studs, you're not going to go back to cage nuts. I can guarantee it. These you're going to hate. Are these good for the enterprise data center? Absolutely. Again, know your weight. If you're going to be balancing more than 44 pounds on these, don't use them. Go back to the cage nut. Because you're going to get heavy equipment. you start going over 4 and 6 and 8 U's for like chassis and stuff, hell no, don't use rack studs. Stick with whatever they supply. A lot of that stuff, the vendor supplies it. If they don't, stick with the enterprise grade stuff. All right. Home labs, I'd say this is perfect. Unless you're like bringing something home from work that is like a chassis, then no, absolutely not. Check the show notes. I'll have a link for the rack studs. I'll try to do a couple different variations. Might have the purples, I might have just the mixed for standard, and I'll definitely have the new duos in there. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the show, and as always, guys, thanks for watching and have a good one. Removing the rack stud Series 2 speed test. Done. Removing the rack stud duo speed test. Done.